Let's have a look at text alternatives for images. We can use the alt attribute to provide a text alternative for images. However, we need to think about what role an image plays in the page to work out what type of text alternative it should have. Let's have another look at this newspaper page from the previous lesson. I've got VoiceOver running, and I'm going to use the mouse pointer moves VoiceOver cursor option to let me quickly inspect things with VoiceOver. Now, you probably don't want this on all of the time, but it can be good for quickly testing things.
HTML content.
Alright, so here we have a picture of a cat illustrating that article on cats. VoiceOver announces this as
/1602041933560 cat.
Okay, so that was pretty suboptimal. I can pull up DevTools on the image and add an alt attribute which says a cat staring menacingly off into space. Alright, so now I can try VoiceOver again.
VoiceOver on HTML content. A cat staring menacingly off into space.
And now we hear a nice succinct description of the image and move on to the article. A couple of comments on the alt attribute. Alt allows you to specify a simple string to be used whenever an image is not available, whether the image fails to load like it has here, or you're a web crawling bot or a screen reader user. Alt differs from any other type of caption, including a title, in that it will only be used if the image isn't available. Caption or title typically provides extra context for the image rather than an alternative to the image. Writing useful alt text is a bit of an art. In order for a string to be a usable text alternative, it needs to convey the same thing as the image in the given context. To give a more complex example, we have that logo image in the masthead link. That link is going to take us back to the home page, so it might be tempting to write home here. But that's not a functional alternative to the image. It's actually going to create a more confusing experience because then we might get the idea that it's an image of some kind of home. Instead, we can describe this image pretty accurately simply as the Funyun. You may or may not want to explicitly call out that it's a logo, but given it's an image, that's more or less implied anyway. An easy way to check whether your alt text is sensible is to imagine all your images are broken. Can you still understand the page content? Now, there's one image I left in here that I'd like to take a closer look at. We have this magnifying glass logo inside the search link. If I check that out with VoiceOver,
Magnifying glass.
I can hear that we've helpfully added an alt text of magnifying glass. But if I inspect the link as a whole,
Magnifying glass search. Link.
we can hear that it's actually redundant. Magnifying glass search doesn't convey anything that search doesn't. But we know that if we leave the alt text out, we'll probably hear the image file name, which we already saw as a potentially horrible experience. So in this case, I'm going to use an empty alt text, and we'll see what that does. The empty alt text actually removes the image from the accessibility tree altogether, so the image is now completely skipped by the screen reader. In this case, that's actually what we want because the image was redundant.